Southeast Asian countries are seeking to dispel the image of being underdeveloped. At the end of 2015, ASEAN nations jointly issued the Kuala Lumpur Declaration, formally launching the start of the ASEAN Economic Community. With a population of 600 million, this region has drawn interest from businesses in China, South Korea, and Japan. Taiwan's economy is dwarfed by those of China and Japan, but it does have relatively greater numbers of second-generation new immigrants who can help bridge cultural gaps. However, just 10% of these second-generation new immigrants are able to speak their mother tongue. Here's part 2 of our Sunday in-depth report.
These students are reading Vietnamese along with their teacher at Kaohsiung's Wenzao Ursuline University of Languages. And here, an Indonesian language class is almost completely packed with students. Li Yun-hsuan is a sophomore university student who is learning Indonesian. She herself is a second-generation new immigrant from Indonesia.
In middle school and high school, there were no Indonesian language courses. These courses were only offered in the university, and this is why I decided to join the class.
Whether it's elementary school or university, Taiwan's second-generation immigrants typically are not able to speak their mother's native tongue. Many are wondering why this deficiency is so prevalent.
When a woman comes here, the government's assimilation policies and multicultural classes are only designed to help them blend into the local Taiwanese culture.
Li Han-yo, who is originally from Vietnam, echoes the feelings of other new migrants when she says they realize they have to actively sinify and please their husbands' families and societies. But in the process, they lose their mother tongue. The current culture in Taiwan asks new immigrants to assimilate, with many of them losing their native language or having it ignored. The second generation of new immigrants is also influenced by subtle social values to develop negative attitudes towards their mother's native tongue.
Children know that these languages are looked down upon at home and in the community, so they are not encouraged to speak this with their good friends. I have heard many second-generation new immigrants speak about them with contempt, which is actually the attitude of the community.
In Taiwan, there are widespread tendencies to view Southeast Asian nations as lower down in the hierarchy of rich and poor nations. But this just reveals our own lack of understanding of international developments. Our understanding is too shallow. Over the past 10 years, the rapid rise of Southeast Asian economies and the launch of the ASEAN Economic Community at the end of 2015 have caused all nations to want a piece of the economic pie. Cheng Wen-chung is a Taiwanese businessman with 20 years of experience in Southeast Asia, who has witnessed the transformation firsthand.
I have lived in Vietnam for more than 13 years and also lived in Indonesia for 5 years. Ho Chi Minh City's economy and consumer spending are no less than Taichung.
The vigorous development of these countries, together with the potential of emerging markets, is attracting the interest of some Taiwanese young people.
More and more people are enrolling in Southeast Asian language courses, so we set up a Southeast Asian language teaching center. In addition to language instruction, we also teach students about different industries and also teach the political, social, and historical background of Southeast Asia.
At the moment, Wenzao Ursuline University of Languages is the only one in Taiwan to establish a program dedicated to Southeast Asian languages and industries. In comparison, in neighboring South Korea, interest in ASEAN markets is more widespread.
Korean business consortiums such as Samsung or Lot or Hyundai each year send some 100 to 200 students from within their company to study Indonesian language and culture.
In the face of this strong competition, Taiwan actually has more advantages than Korea because it has some 300,000 to 400,000 second-generation immigrants from Southeast Asia.
Second-generation immigrants know the situation in Taiwan, and they know about Southeast Asia. If one can speak a Southeast Asian language skillfully, then Taiwanese businessmen won't need to hire local translators.
Ideally, if second-generation new immigrants can understand both Chinese and Southeast Asian languages, Along with having the necessary cultural background, they could be attractive employees to Taiwanese businesses operating overseas. In addition to these economic and business needs, the editor of Four-Way Voice believes that language can be a tool for providing a broader vision.
Everyone is standing on the shoulder of giants. This giant is your culture, language, and habits. Southeast Asia is somewhere close where we can take the first step to understanding the rest of the world.
Kung Kim Yong is currently doing his doctoral dissertation research on Taiwan's second-generation new immigrants. He speaks fluent Indonesian and is also familiar with the culture of the country. The reason he has such a deep foundation in this heritage is due to his Indonesian mother.
My mother does not speak Mandarin Chinese. This may be one of her weaknesses, but because she cannot speak Mandarin, her children were forced to learn her mother tongue, and they naturally learned an additional language.
我觉得很开心，有妈妈的心中的，对，因为可以多了解不同的文化。
With new immigrant parents coming from different countries, their children were forced to learn two languages and cultures, and always two sets of values, which could turn out to be a precious and tangible asset for them in the future.